I was eating cereal at 6:41 a.m. when I got the message. Not a love note. Not a goodbye. Just 8 words. Don't wait for me. I need time alone. No punctuation. No heart emoji. Just cold digital silence. She'd left for her so-called solo retreat the night before. Packed like she was running from the law. Charger, passport, for outfits way too nice for yoga, and perfume I hadn't smelled since our honeymoon. Said she was going somewhere remote. Disconnected. Spiritual. The kind of place with no signal and overpriced smoothies. I didn't reply. I didn't even finish my cereal. Instead, I walked to the bedroom, grabbed the black folder I'd hidden months ago, and opened the divorce papers I'd already filled out but never signed. Not until today. See, this wasn't sudden. Not for me. This was slow. Strategic. Like erosion. First, she started taking longer showers. Then she laughed at jokes that weren't mine. Then she started calling everything stagnant. Our home. Our sex. Our love. Even our conversations. But what pushed me over wasn't her absence. It was what I found after she left. A message on our shared tablet, left open, stupidly. She didn't even log out of her fake Instagram. The one with the private DMs. The one with the saved hotel confirmation. The one with the flight to Miami, not some desert wellness ranch like she claimed. The room was booked for 2. Name on the reservation? Not hers. It was under his. Let me be clear, I didn't scream. I didn't call. I didn't confront. You know what I did? I walked into our kitchen, brewed a fresh cup of coffee, and blocked her number. Then I sent the signed divorce file to my lawyer with the subject line, "Execute immediately." Because if she needed space, I'd give her the whole damn galaxy. But this is only the beginning. She thought she had me wrapped around her finger. She thought I'd sit here waiting like a fool. What happened next? She never saw coming. Stick around, because in part 2, things unravel faster than her lies. After I sent the divorce papers, I didn't feel victorious. I didn't feel heartbroken either. What I felt was strange, like watching yourself from the outside, like you're acting out a part in someone else's life. But I didn't have time to process it, because 10 minutes later, my friend Jonas texted me. Just 3 words, check her story. I clicked her Instagram, the one she thought I didn't know about. It was private, sure, but Delaney wasn't as smart as she liked to think. Months ago, I used her old iPad to snoop. Not proud of that, by the way, and it was still logged in. So when she posted a story from a sunny hotel balcony in Miami, sipping something tropical with a man's shadow clearly visible across her legs, I didn't even blink. I just watched. Watched the lies play out in real time. Her caption said, "Healing." Healing? With a mystery man 2 days after telling me she needed silence and time in nature? It wasn't even subtle. One of the photos showed a pair of sunglasses on the table next to hers. Not hers. Men's. And I recognized them. They belonged to someone I knew. That's when it all clicked. The late-night study sessions, the gym she joined across town, the phone calls that ended when I walked in. It wasn't random. It wasn't spiritual. It was planned. And I wasn't just being cheated on. I was being handled, like a job interview or a bank transfer. Scheduled. Timed. Executed. And still, I didn't message her. I wanted to see how far she'd go. So I posted nothing. Stayed silent. But I set up a digital trail, messages to my lawyer, timestamped screen recordings, proof of her deception. Not for revenge. For protection. Because deep down, I knew she'd spin this. She'd cry. She'd say I left her. That I abandoned her emotionally. I knew how she operated. The narrative always had to end with her as the misunderstood protagonist. But I wasn't the same Russell she'd spent years wearing down. I was quiet, but I wasn't weak. I was slow to react, but I remembered everything. And just as I expected, that night, at 10:14 p.m., my phone buzzed, blocked, but still able to leave a voicemail. Her voice, soft, fake sad. "Hey, I just wanted to check in. Today felt weird without you. I miss talking to you." She didn't know I'd heard her laugh that morning in another man's hotel room. Didn't know I'd already prepared my statement for the divorce hearing. She thought she still had control. What she didn't know was that her whole illusion was already unraveling, and I wasn't going to stop it, because someone else had just messaged me. And what they sent changed everything. It was a screenshot. That's what the stranger sent me. No introduction, no context. Just a blurry screenshot and a single sentence underneath. You don't know the half of it. At first, I thought it was a scam. I mean, who texts you from a random number and drops cryptic messages like some B-movie detective? But then I looked closer at the image. My stomach turned. It was a message thread between Delaney and someone named E. Not just flirtation. Not even subtle. They were talking about me. Not in a mocking way, but worse, like I was an obstacle. Something to get through. She wrote, "He suspects something, but he won't do anything. He's safe." Safe. That word hit harder than cheater or liar. I wasn't a person to her anymore. I was a condition, a speed bump, a harmless fixture in the background of her new life. I messaged the stranger back. "Who are you?" The reply came almost instantly. I was him. Until last year. Now I was pacing. Who the hell was this guy? Ex-boyfriend? Some other poor idiot she'd done this to before? I didn't know, but I needed to. So I asked for proof. And what he sent next didn't just confirm everything. It blew the ceiling off what I thought I understood. Photos, videos, voicemails, all from 14 months ago. Same routine, same phrases, space, soul work. I need to grow without feeling watched. Only this time, it was directed at him. She had pulled the same move, same playbook, even the same hotel. The sickest part? She told him about me, back when we were still married. Claimed I was a roommate. Said we'd already split, but were just cohabiting. I sat there reading messages where she reassured this other guy that I was irrelevant, that I'd move on eventually. She rewrote my entire existence like a footnote in her fake narrative. I didn't cry. I couldn't. I just sat there in silence, letting the weight of it all press down until I thought the air might leave my lungs. But that wasn't the worst part. Not even close. The stranger, let's call him Eli, told me something else. He said, "She tried to come back to me too. After she left you. Same script. Same voice. The crying. The guilt." And that's when I realized what this was. It wasn't love. It wasn't even betrayal. It was a pattern. A system. Delaney wasn't a broken person. She was a skilled operator. And I wasn't her first casualty. Just the most recent. But I was going to be the last. Because Eli had one more thing to show me. Something he hadn't told anyone before. And it was the key to everything. Eli sent me a folder link. Just a simple line of text. "You'll want to see this before she starts rewriting everything again." I hesitated before opening it. Something about the way he phrased that made me feel like I was holding a detonator, not a document. And I wasn't wrong. Inside were dozens of voice recordings. Not hers, his. Private audio logs, apparently recorded on his phone, back when Delaney was with him. She never knew he was doing it. He explained later that he'd started recording just to process his own thoughts. Like therapy. But what those recordings revealed wasn't just emotionally damning. It was legally useful. In one of the clips, I heard her voice, low and tipsy. She was laughing about how easy it was to keep two lives going at once. You just don't give them too much. Never the whole truth. Just enough emotion to keep them confused, she said. Then she added something I'll never forget. Men like that cling to closure. You don't need to lie, just starve them of clarity. They'll tie their own noose. I paused it. I couldn't breathe. That wasn't just cold, it was clinical. Like she'd rehearsed it. Like it was a technique. And in that moment, something inside me shifted. I had spent weeks blaming myself, wondering if I was boring, too cautious, too soft. But this wasn't about my flaws. It was about her game. Eli had been through it all already. The confusion, the gaslighting, the guilt. He even told me she once fabricated a fake emotional breakdown just to dodge responsibility when he started asking questions. Full act. Crying in the bathroom. Threats to leave town. Then, the next day, she posted a selfie with a new guy and a caption that said "Fresh starts." We were both her bridge. Nothing more. But Eli had one last recording. He debated whether to send it. Said it was the one that haunted him most. I didn't want to hear it. I needed to. It was just her voice this time. A voicemail she left him months after ghosting him. The exact same pattern she was now repeating with me. Same tone. Same language. She said, "I didn't expect to miss you. I thought I'd moved on. But I keep remembering things, little things. The way you made tea. The way you folded laundry. I don't know why that stuff matters, but it does." That's when I realized something terrifying. She wasn't faking that part. She meant it, in the moment. And then she'd move on. Like clockwork. Like nothing happened. And now she was trying to come back to me. Except this time, the script had changed. Because now I had something she didn't expect. A trail. Witnesses. Patterns. And the will to finally stop playing nice. She had no idea what was waiting for her back home. And it all started with a key I left in the lock, just enough to let her believe she still had control. But the moment she turned it, the door would slam shut, for good. The flight landed 2 hours early. I knew because I checked. Not that she told me, of course, but I'd set up flight alerts just in case. I wasn't tracking her out of obsession. I was preparing. I needed to know exactly when she'd step back into my world, wearing that fake contrition like a scarf she could throw off whenever it stopped working. She texted me the moment the wheels touched down. "Hey, I'm back in town. Can we talk? Just talk." I didn't respond. Not because I didn't have anything to say, but because she didn't deserve to hear my voice anymore. Silence, I had learned, is sharper than shouting. I stayed home that afternoon, waiting. And around 4:12 p.m., I heard the door handle twist. She still had a key. I left it that way on purpose. Let her think the door was still open. Let her believe, for one final moment, that I was still the same man who watched her lie to my face and begged her to stay. She stepped in like nothing had happened. Like she'd just gone out for coffee. She even smiled. I swear to God, she smiled. "Hey," she said, like we were old friends who'd had a small misunderstanding. "You look good." I didn't speak. I just looked at her. Took her in. The carefully undone hair, the new necklace, the way she stood like someone about to deliver a performance. She set her bag down and walked further in, slowly scanning the room. That's when she noticed the file on the kitchen counter. Her name on the top. "What's this?" she asked, already knowing. "Evidence," I said. My first word to her in weeks. She opened it, hands trembling, eyes scanning the printouts, screenshots, transcripts, emails. Her face changed. Slowly. No rage. No denial. Just calculation. Watching her flip through her own lies laid out like a criminal case was surreal. I could almost see her brain rewriting itself in real time, preparing the next version of the story she'd tell. To me, to her family, to herself. But then she reached the last page. And froze. Because taped to it was a photo. Not of her. Of him. Eli. He was smiling, arms around her waist in a photo she'd posted privately on a burner account. She thought it was invisible. She thought she had control. "I talked to him," I said quietly. Her face went still. That was the first real moment. The first time I saw fear cut through her script. She opened her mouth. Closed it. Sat down. And then she cried. Not loud. Not performative. Real tears. That almost shook me. Almost. "I didn't know how to stop," she said, her voice breaking. "I just keep running. I ruin things, I know. But I never meant to hurt you like this." That's the line. The one they always save for last, as if intent could ever erase damage. "You didn't hurt me," I replied, standing up. "You freed me." And then I handed her the envelope, my signed response to the divorce. Nothing dramatic. No screaming. Just closure. Real, legal, official closure. She reached for my hand. I stepped back. "No more rewrites," I said. "We're done." She left 10 minutes later. Quiet. Small. Like a balloon that had finally run out of air. But it wasn't over. Not completely. Because 3 days later, I got a call from someone else, someone who shouldn't have known any of this. And they weren't calling about Delaney. They were calling about me. 3 days passed. I hadn't heard from Delaney. No texts, no calls, no mysterious voice notes from unknown numbers. Just silence. The kind I'd craved for months, finally delivered in full. I was beginning to think the story was over. Then my phone rang. Blocked number. Against my better judgment, I answered. The voice on the other end was calm, polite, too polite. "Mr. Carver?" the man asked. "You don't know me, but I think you've been in contact with someone I'm currently disentangling from." At first, I thought he meant Delaney. I almost hung up. But then he said, "Her name's Maeve, but she sometimes goes by Delaney. Or Marla. Or Elise." My blood ran cold. I asked him to clarify. Slowly, carefully, he laid it out. Not just a story, but a pattern. Similar lies. Similar timeline. A woman with different names, different phones, same MO, charm. Chaos. Disappear. Repeat. He had found my name buried in a list of usernames associated with an old burner account she'd used. A list she'd accidentally emailed herself before ghosting him, too. And he wasn't the only one looking. Apparently, 2 more men had connected the dots. One in Nevada. One in Toronto. All of them thought they were the only one. All of them left broken. Some worse. "I think she's been doing this for years," he said quietly. "And not just for attention. It's deeper. like she's addicted to unraveling people. This wasn't a cheating story anymore. It wasn't just heartbreak or betrayal. It was something else, something darker. And I had no idea just how far it went, or how many lives she'd burned through before mine. But I was going to find out. I didn't sleep that night. Not because I was heartbroken. That part had burned out weeks ago. It was something else now. Something colder. The realization that I'd been a character in someone's long-running con. A placeholder. A story she could rewrite with a new cast, new setting, same tragic ending. By morning, I had an inbox full of names. Eli had put me in contact with the other two men, Sam from Nevada and Julian from Toronto. We set up a group call, not out of revenge, but for clarity. And what I learned in that hour made me feel like I'd been dropped into someone else's nightmare. Julian had known her as Marla. Same voice, same laugh, same tendency to talk in dreamy metaphors about fate and timing. She told him she'd just gotten out of a controlling relationship, that she needed healing. He let her move in after 4 months. She emptied his savings account 2 weeks later and vanished. No goodbye, no trace. Sam's story was worse. He said she'd stayed with him through a medical scare, supported him during surgery, made him feel like they were building something real. Then, right before his birthday, she told him she needed to reset her identity. Those were her exact words. He never saw her again. What chilled me most wasn't the lies. It was the precision. Like she had a manual. Like she knew the exact emotional buttons to push. She didn't just break hearts. She extracted trust, drained it, then disappeared before the crash. And then, Julian said something none of us were ready for. She mentioned a man once. She said his name was Russell, that he almost figured everything out. My hands went numb. She had talked about me to them, like I was some near miss. A mistake she almost made. I didn't know whether to feel insulted or grateful, that I'd escaped before she did something worse. Or that I hadn't. That's when I decided I wasn't done. Not yet. Delaney, or Maeve, or Marla, or whatever she called herself next. She thought this story ended when she walked out of my house. But I had something she'd never accounted for. I had other voices, other survivors, a map of her trail, and a reason to follow it. I wasn't just some sad ex-husband anymore. Now, I was a witness. And soon, maybe more than that. I didn't track her down. I didn't expose her. I didn't send the folder of evidence to her job or her family or plaster it online. I had all the pieces, screenshots, voice memos, names of the men she hurt, timelines she couldn't erase. But in the end, I chose something she'd never understand. Peace. Because that's the real win, isn't it? Not revenge. Not humiliation. Just removal. The silence after a storm. The clean air when the toxicity is gone. That's something she'll never have, because people like her are always running, always reinventing, always looking for the next person to blame. I mailed the final signed divorce documents last week. No note. No warning. Just closure in a manila envelope. And today, for the first time in a long time, I woke up and felt still. Not numb. Not angry. Just still. Like I was finally back in my own skin. I've started seeing someone. Nothing serious. We meet on Sundays, walk our dogs, talk about books and weird documentaries. She doesn't make me feel like I'm on trial for being kind. She doesn't keep score. She doesn't treat love like a game she has to win. It's new. It's small. And it's real. Looking back, I don't regret any of it. Not even the pain. Because every lie Delaney told helped me sharpen my sense of truth. And now, I trust my gut more than ever. I know what love isn't. That's more valuable than anything she tried to take from me. So here's my question to you. Yes, you watching this right now on Reddit Confessions. Have you ever uncovered a hidden pattern in someone? Something that changed how you see everything? A lie, a mask, a truth that hit you sideways? Drop your story in the comments. Even if it's messy, even if it's unresolved. And remember, sometimes the most powerful thing you can do isn't to fight for answers. It's to walk away without needing them.